On today's episode of our Gibb River Road adventure, we make our way back to the Gibb River Road from Mitchell Falls, stopping in for a quick swim along the way. We finally get to cross the Pentecost River and tick another one off the bucket list, and the track takes its toll on one of the vehicles, resulting in some extensive damage.
What's wrong?
Noticed a couple of cracks appeared on the bull bar, not in any structural locations, but yeah, along this little grille section here that does project a light bar. You can mount light bars behind here. There's a crack there the whole way through, in the middle here as well. All three of them fully cracked through. So I guess those corrugations did take a bit of a toll with number plate, those missing bolts, and then those three cracks. And the best part is we have to tackle those exact same corrugations to get back out of here today, so hopefully no more damage. So after just over a week on the Gibb River Road, we're starting to have a few power issues, which is a bit annoying, but not too surprising, I suppose. We do have that massive 400 amp hour lithium battery, but the issue is we're just not driving enough each day to top up as much as we're consuming, if that makes sense. And also we did bring a solar blanket to try and fill that void. However, that's just not working very well at all. It's only putting in about 3 amps, where it should be 16, 17, or even 18 amps. So that's left us with a pretty low power supply this morning. Roughly day 9, we've woken up to 19% battery in the canopy battery, which is not great when we're relying on that to keep the big fridge running and also our freezer. So essentially trying to consume as little power as possible. For that reason, I am very glad that I decided to bring along an extra, like a backup essentially. This is a small butane stove that just runs off those little gas canisters like that. Folds up extremely compact, and for last night and also this morning, we're just using this to cook to essentially not use any power. Cooking with gas, I know, going back to the system we used to use. So I've got a bit of a drive today, which should hopefully put a fair bit of charge back into that keep but we'll have to keep an eye on it, and I'm very grateful to have this as a backup.
So we've been having a bit of troubles with this back under tray drawer. Basically when we lift this latch up when it's shut, it's just not unlatching properly. So when these little things, when you pull out the latch, obviously it brings in these little things, but they're not being taken in enough. So we keep, like, it's been really hard to open this drawer the last few times. And in fact, when we last opened it when we got here, we haven't shut it since. If you have a look in there, I don't know how well the camera can see. There's a, it's just like a typical, sort of similar to like an old car door lock, in that when you pull the handle, it pulls two, it like spins a thing which pulls the two cables in, which then pulls the locks in. And that's where the problem is, it's not pulling them in enough. But there's a little bolt on the end here. So all we need to do, hopefully, is tighten those bolts, which will pull those cables in a bit tighter. And if we pull those cables in a bit tighter, hopefully, when we lift this latch, it actually pulls them in. Oh.
So far so good.
Please open. Oh, I can hear. How I feel. Oh, it's better than when we got it.
After packing away camp, we made our way out of the Mitchell Falls Campground and back onto the corrugated track back to the Gibb, aiming to find ourselves a nice free spot to set up for the night. With the midday sun beating down on us, we decided to pull in near the King Edward River Campground for a quick swim to cool off.
What are you rattling?
The whole diff.
Oh, really?
So when it talks, it'll push up, and then something's clunking. What's clunking? Oh my god! She's fucked alright because there's no mount left.
What?
Yeah, it's fucked. This mount here for the diff is broken.
Oh, wow.
That there is that piece there, and it's snapped. Look at that.
Wow.
I'm going to have to, I don't know, tie it back, and we'll just have to be mindful where we go.
Are you going to be able to get home with that?
Ford. Yeah, we'll get home, she'll be right. It's a Ford. Should have bought the GQA, honestly. Should have bought the old trusty GQ. And there's 2 bolts that come through here, and one's finger tight, and the other one's MIA. But it looks like an M10, and I reckon I got one of them in the bag.
How's your D-Max faring, Daniel?
So far, so good.
That's because he hasn't looked.
I was going to say, have you laid under it any time?
These problems don't exist until you acknowledge them.
Yeah. and the closer you look, the more you find.
Yeah.
We got onto it early, and before we got ourselves into a situation we can't get out of. So a ratchet strap will hold that in there, and it'll be 2-wheel drive from here to there.
The next morning we hit the road bright and early, making our way east along the Gibb and aiming to stay somewhere near Home Valley Station. So we're just about to leave where we pulled over, and Ben's just noticed that there was a bit hanging down on the back of the car. This is actually our lane assist, or like the blind spot monitoring system sonar module, the factory sonar module that clips into these aftermarket brackets in the back of the tray here. So normally it sits in here, something like that. It's a bit broken at the moment, but I can see here it's actually snapped some plastic sections. It's easy to see in there. So it's not going to affect the drivability of the vehicle. It just means you're not going to be able to tell if people are in our blind spots. I might just tuck it up here just for safekeeping and solve that one when we get back home.
Oh, even taking off the tails.
Yep. Be like that for another 6 months now. It's not going anywhere. With my dodgy cable tie repair complete, we were back on the road and enjoying some pretty spectacular scenery. So we pulled into Home Valley Station just to check it out and get some stuff from their store, but it is so nice here. Decided to actually pay for a camping night. So
Yeah, so we just paid $52.50 for 2 of us
we got some bread.
for one night. Bought some bread. Probably a little pricey, but honestly it's so beautiful here. And we get to swim in the pool. There's a bar with dinner as well.
Dinner later on tonight.
And yeah, just couldn't resist really. So home for a night.
We are just waking up after a bit of an impromptu stay at the Home Valley Station here on the Gibb River Road. We kind of pulled in just to check it out and found out they had flushing toilets, hot showers, a laundry, a pool and a bar for dinner.
Yeah.
So that's all it took for us to change our plans around a little bit and stay here for the night, but it's been really nice.
It has indeed. And today is exciting because we head off, and just down the road from here is the very famous Pentecost River. So
Yes,
we've
one
been
of the big ticket items to tick off.
waiting the entire trip to cross this. I'm really hopeful we'll see some crocodiles finally.
Yeah, we've gone this whole trip so far without seeing a single crocodile, so today might be the day.
I reckon we should just keep driving up the Pentecost till we find one, because I really don't want to go this whole trip on the Gibb up
All
in
of
the
the water
Kimberley.
levels low enough, might be able to drive along the Pentecost, but we'll see how
Yeah.
we go. One of the other advantages of staying in this particular location is that it is quite close to the Pentecost, so there's some really nice campsites just on the other side that we're hoping to camp out tonight, and the sooner we get in, the more options we'll have to pick the perfect site. So even if you don't know the Pentecost by the name, I can almost guarantee you've at least seen one photo of it. If you ever Google the Kimberley or the Gibb River Road, the photo that most often shows up is the famous Pentecost River crossing, which we are so excited to see. It's literally just around the corner, so yeah, we should be coming up on it pretty soon.
Yeah, and that checks out because I remember when we were planning this trip and we had a little group chat going with my brother, and I sent through a picture of a car that I had just from Google, like a car crossing Pentecost, being like, oh, this is awesome. And then my brother was like, oh yeah, the Pentecost. And I was like, what's the Pentecost? And he's like, you literally just sent a photo of it through. So yeah, anyway, I didn't know what it was, but now I do, and we're about to see it.
A very famous crossing, which we're super excited to see. So. So we have pulled up to make camp along the Pentecost River, just on the other side of that crossing, which was awesome to experience.
It is spectacular.
It is a beautiful view.
I just want to show you guys. Like, look. Isn't that amazing?
Campsites do not get much better than that, right on the banks of this amazing river.
And
Although,
the sun's going to set like straight over the river, so
gonna be
really
unreal.
nice.
But it is very, very hot. Like, we are sweating in this sweltering sun. There's not
It
much
is so
wind
hot.
at all. So really feeling every single one of those 30-something degrees right now.
And you're next to this beautiful river and you're like, oh yeah, I might go for a swim, but then you think of crocodiles and no one else is swimming and you're like maybe
it's
not.
a hot day and this is a busy place and there is just no one around in this water as far as you can see. But heat aside, it doesn't get much better than this, camped alongside that amazing river. So we're gonna make the most of this place in the heat we have.
Even if I just sit here, surely I'll be able to see a croc coming for me. So something very exciting just happened and we were getting some lovely drone footage just to prove it, but we just saw ourselves our first crocodile.
Finally, day 9 or 10 of the trip, we've finally seen a crocodile. Where else better to see it but on the banks of the Pentecost River.
And he was floating around sort of around that area and then he went across this bank and we haven't seen
just
him
in front
since.
of Ben here.
Yeah, just in front of Ben fishing. No, so he was crossing the other side and we just saw like a little, it looked like a floating rock, but then it got bigger and then it got smaller and it kind of looked like a log and we're like, surely that's a croc.
Yeah, so we chucked the drone out to see and sure enough we can see on the surface floating a
flew over
massive
and he was
crocodile.
just like chilling there floating for a while, but then when he dove under, was so amazed you cannot see them unless you know that it's already there. That's so hard to spot. So
yeah,
glad we're not going swimming. I see why now that people say don't swim in places like this, and Ben is being very keen to stand on the shore there, but he'll be right. A couple of our neighbours, we've got neighbours, there's so many people around here, but yeah, so one of them said nah, he looks about like 2 meters, quite small, probably a freshie, but yeah, there's no scale, so we could just say it's a 6 meter saltwater crocodile.
definitely a 10 meter salty.
Yeah,
Yep.
10 meter salty. And he lashed out, tried to cut. No. But yeah, first croc and on the Pentecost. And it is absolutely stunning, but also absolutely boiling.
On next week's episode, we make our way into El Cuestro Station where we tackle some of our most insane gorge hikes to date, swim under beautiful waterfalls, and see some of the most spectacular views and sunsets Australia has to offer.